What is going on, guys? My name is Aaron Benjamin, and today I'm here representing Saltwater, Sportsman, Mako Boats, and of course, Garmin. The focal point of today's video is going to be discussing what I think of this Garmin trolling motor. Being somebody who is an avid fisherman and has worked for large fishing publications such as Saltwater, Sportsman, fishing professionally for over 5 years, I've had my fair share of trolling motors, and I'm not going to name names, but I am so impressed with this new Garmin Kraken trolling motor that I wanted to make a video showcasing its capabilities. Today we are on a 21-foot Mako boat with a deep V-hull, not a light boat. It's powered by a 200 Mercury. And as we film this video, we are sitting in extreme currents near an inlet in South Florida by the Atlantic Ocean. And if you know anything about current, on the Atlantic side, there's typically a lot more of that. My favorite option on this, you probably won't even believe it, it's the fact that if your remote dies, if you fish as hard as I do, in the rare circumstance that it dies, or you have any issues with your remote, you can deploy and anchor this trolling motor on the motor. And as simple as the technology as that may seem, I don't know of any competitors where you have that option. And if you do, it hasn't been anything that I own. So here's a good example of where something like that came and played a big role. We went down to the Florida Keys on my boat, which is a Mako 18 LTS, also powered by a Garmin Kraken trolling motor. And of course, we got out on the water and my trolling motor remote died, which, by the way, it lasted like 3 months prior to this trip, but it died. And at the time I was like, man, I'm screwed. I need to get in skinny water, I need to anchor around bridges and current, and I don't want to be picking up and throwing an anchor all day. Well, I went up to the trolling motor, and believe it or not, that was the day that I discovered I could deploy it, hit the anchor button, and anchor it right then and there. My fishing day wasn't obstructed in the slightest. So to me, as a serious angler, that's an incredible feature, because let's face the reality of the fact that a lot of people are buying electric motors, trolling motors, to use them to anchor. The anchoring capability, spot lock if you will, on all of the trolling motors today is amazing. With the anchor button on this, the actual anchoring capability of the troller is incredible because of just how powerful these motors are. And the fact that they can reverse. The prop on this motor reverses. So what does that mean to you? Whenever you get to a fishing spot, you want the quietest approach. And when you hit that anchor button, you do not want your trolling motor spinning in every direction and creating a ruckus to keep you in place. And in my opinion, the biggest win you can have is to mitigate the noise while doing that. Because let's face the reality again, the fish spook easily. So this Garmin Kraken trolling motor, by far, is the quietest trolling motor I've ever used, and it's the most subtle when you get to your spot. Okay, so we know that it's quiet, we know that we can hit the anchor button on the actual trolling motor, but what about the capability of actually being able to hold you in ripping current, ripping wind? Well, it holds better than any other trolling motor I've ever used. Again, this is a Mako 21-foot boat with a deep V-hull and a Mercury 200 Verado. It is not a light boat, and we are currently in ripping current and it's holding well. On my 18 LTS, when I fish areas like the 7 Mile Bridge, Mosquito Lagoon, the St. Lucie Inlet, Jupiter Inlet, wherever I'm fishing, I have never to this day been to a place where it doesn't hold and hold a charge, meaning that it's not exerting too much of its power, if you will, to keep you in that place. The battery life, because of the efficiency of the trolling motor, so batteries aside, we're discussing the trolling motor and how efficient it is also amazing because I'm constantly using the trolling motor to flip docks, right? I flip docks, I catch bait, I do so many things. I demand so much from my trolling motor, and it's actually almost comical how upset I get when it dies after I've run it for 6 hours on previous ones, but the Garmin's never died. And I think it boils down to efficiency because I'm not running lithiums and I'm not doing anything special. Initially, when I got the Garmin Kraken trolling motor, after being somebody who used other brands for basically my whole life, I was a little intimidated by this large remote. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, wow, this looks like a cell phone. There's too many buttons. But after actually diving deep and learning it for just one day, literally 1 hour, it's very intuitive, very simple, and it just makes sense. It's a very practical remote. I actually really like the LCD screen because I can always see it no matter how high the sun is, and I really like the configuration of the buttons. It's very easy to use while I'm fighting a fish, and I can't emphasize that enough. So many times, and if you're an angler, you can probably relate. I have a big snook on, I'm on a dock, right? I'm here, it's pulling drag. The fish is so strong, it's taking the anchor out of the boat, or maybe I wasn't anchored to begin with because I was flipping docks, and I'm scrambling, trying to find a button, and you know what? The buttons are too small for my fat fingers. I have big hands, and I mess up and my trolling motor goes the wrong way, and boom, I lose a trophy fish because of that. I know it seems silly, but let's face the reality again. We're always using our trolling motors as inshore anglers and even offshore anglers, and we oftentimes have to get on that remote to fight a fish. And with this remote, it's so intuitive where the buttons are because of how big they are. It actually ended up being a huge plus. And I know that might seem silly, but I'm genuinely being honest with you when I tell you I haven't lost nearly as many fish due to fumbling the remote. Another big win on this is the turbo button. Right now we're sitting in tons of current, and if I undo the anchor by hitting the anchor button and I just hit this double tap turbo button, we're just going to start going. We are currently going, and the current's coming towards the bow, ripping towards the bow, and we are going 2.2 miles per hour. So we're moving forward. The turbo mode is enabled. We're going against ripping current. We're averaging 2 miles per hour. I see a fish blow up and I want to anchor. I've never seen a troller that can bypass the reverse and just turn so quickly. Watch this. I hit the anchor, boom. We're gonna spin around. Right now it's engaging the reverse, but when I tell you it stopped from 2.5 miles per hour on a dime, we didn't move. We literally didn't move because it instantly started to engage that reverse, adjust itself, and we're right back to our spot. Guys, if you're a trolling motor geek or an inshore fisherman that's as serious as I am, you know that that's insane. You're gliding around, looking for fish, trying to move fast, looking for bait, looking for mullet. You see the school, you gotta stop on a dime, you hit the anchor button. And again, because of the big remote, I'm not fumbling around, I'm not hitting the wrong buttons, it's super easy. Overall, there's nothing I have to say about this trolling motor that's negative besides the sheer weight of it. I mean, it's heavy, so you're gonna get a little bit of extra lifts in while you're out on the water. It's heavy because it's durable and because it works. I don't know anything about the internals. I'm not an engineer by any means. I'm just giving you my personal review as somebody who's on the water more than 99% of the people. This thing is absolutely incredible. There's several options that I haven't even scratched the surface on. There's a wireless electric foot pedal. And I've always been a criticizer of the fact that many saltwater trolling motors don't give you the option to have a foot pedal, because I envy the bass fishermen that are so skilled at utilizing their foot pedal as they flip docks. But man, is that a cool option. If you're somebody who does some bass fishing and some saltwater fishing, you already have adjusted to utilizing a foot pedal, you could throw a wireless foot pedal and connect it to your Garmin Kraken trolling motor. This also has the capability to pair with the infamous Garmin Live Scope, which has slowly but surely taken over the sonar game in fishing. So many of the best bass fishing anglers, saltwater tournament anglers are utilizing Live Scope. And if you don't know what Live Scope is, it's Garmin technology that's out of this world. It's basically functional sonar that will show your lure and show the movement of the fish in real time. The Garmin Kraken trolling motor pairs best with that. And the last tip that I want to give is that I run a Garmin 94SV unit, and I've had issues in the past because I've always run that unit. That's my sonar. I've always had issues in the past with obstruction as I troll and side scanning or down scanning. I haven't had any issues with this because it's not throwing much prop wash, it's not throwing much obstruction in the water, so it keeps a clear cone behind the boat as you glide along. Again, nerdy fishing stuff, that is so important, guys. You miss the mark of a big school of snook, jack, tarpon, you're gonna miss out on potentially the fish of a lifetime, and something as simple as the obstruction that your trolling motor prop creates can really mess that up, and it's something that a lot of us might overlook. So all in all, I am beyond impressed with the capability of this trolling motor. I highly recommend to any angler that's looking for it. Although it might be a costly investment, it's an investment in your boat, and it's an investment in the opportunity to catch more fish and have a much more efficient trolling motor that so far is going to last you super long. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. If you have not subscribed to our Saltwater Sportsman channels, please consider doing so. And if you need a trolling motor, consider the Garmin Kraken or any of the Garmin lineup, because they all share the same technology and they truly are leading the industry.